Audio test. Hopefully we're all set in that regard. Should be good to go. Hoping that the processing power is sufficiently low. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hopefully we are... OBS is still eating a lot of processing time. Oh, we might be okay though. Let's just disable video for that. There we go. Howdy, howdy. Just got to get everything set up and we should be all ready to go. Welcome, welcome. Hello one, hello all. How are you so smart yet you don't believe in God's straight logic law? I mean, not really. Like, this is a fairly common position for academics. Welcome, welcome. Sorry, I'm just getting YouTube set up. And then we should be all set to go. I don't need the YouTube video to play. I just need the chat. And then can close that. Should be good to go. I'm hoping that my CPU usage is not at 100%. It is at 100%. Okay, that's not ideal. Definitely not ideal, but we will make do with what we have. And let's bring up a guest. Actually, we have a planned guest, hopefully. Oh, I should send out the announcement that we're live. What's my CPU? Who knows? Who knows? And honestly, it's just Chrome eating up like much more than it should be. I could just close Chrome, but I need the... Actually, you know what? We'll just close Chrome. Hopefully that frees up some processing time. Are you a proud atheist? I mean, Judas with the $5 super chat. Thank you. Happy Monday, Dr. Blitz. It is a Monday. I mean, are Mondays ever happy? That's a good question. It's one of the Mondays of all time. True. Welcome back, Chessbot. All right, so we are sitting at, we're floating at like just below 100% CPU usage, so hopefully we won't have any issues. Now, there is one particular person that we're looking to bring up today that, you know, they said that, oh, it's Garba Gaiman in the YouTube chat. You know who you are, Garba Gaiman. All right, well, let's bring up our first guest through TikTok. All right, let's bring up Josh. Oh, looks like Josh isn't showing up, so we're still waiting. Although there is one particular person that we're trying to get to join anyway, so let me message them on Discord. What is a theist? A theist is a person who believes in a particular kind of God. Garba Gaiman with the $5 Canadian, a sacrifice to the Ram gods. Look, Ram's actually not the issue. It's genuinely CPU. which is like really annoying because it's not the one that it's not something that you can just buy more of, right? And it's just OBS. Like at some point I just really need to like I just need to crank down the quality, the broadcast quality on OBS until I can run it, until I can dual stream both TikTok and YouTube. Like that's all I can do. I tried already decreasing it a little bit, but apparently it's not enough. So we'll have to try again next live. Mike Hawkener, thank you for showing Heavy Pockets the channel. I appreciate you. All right. We were trying to bring up Josh. Do you believe in fusion energy? I mean, like, if we can make it happen, sure. Yes, Tim Bimbadil, thank you for the $2, and yes, Garba Gaiman. I know the name is Garbage Man. It's just yesterday on our stream, Garbage Man gave a super chat, and Justin pronounced it Garba Gaiman. He struggled there, so that's his new official name. Yes, I know TikTok, high computer load detected. I'm aware. Why is Google Chrome still eating 18? Is it because the control room is so heavy? Might be Video Ninja. All right, well, we currently don't have any guests, so I'm gonna keep trying to figure out if I can get this to work. Yeah, it might be Video Ninja, actually. That's because Video Ninja wants to... That's my only Chrome browser up. Oh, I guess I also have YouTube, but I know you keep trying to be a guest, but for some reason you're not connecting. So if you want to try again, by all means. Yeah, actually, let's just try using Edge. Maybe it's it'll eat up less of my processing time. In the future, do you actually want to talk about the subject?
So the tables have turned. Now I am the atheist, and you are the one of high faith, Blitzy.
Are you trying to talk about fusion?
Yeah, you believe in it almost like a religion. It's like your faith.
I mean, if that's the position that you want to have. Look, I'm just saying that if we can make it work, great. If we can't, okay.
Yeah, but you're a scientist, right? You're supposed to look at it with like an impassioned kind of objectivity, right?
Yes, and I just said if we can make it work, great. If we can't, oh well.
Yeah, but you know from your own experience that it will present dangers. Whenever you have a neutron stream boiling off of a source, you're going to irradiate materials. You're going to create nuclear waste.
That's not experience I have, for what it's worth. Like, I don't know what experience you think I have, but that's not experience I have.
Apologies. All right, well, okay, I forget. Sometimes theoretical people don't work in, applied stuff, but I mean, you still kind of believe in it. You still think it's a good path forward.
I think that we should investigate a lot of different paths for energy to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. And if fusion is one way to do so, then I think it's worth investigating. But this is not on topic. This is not on topic, so I'm going to let you go.
All right, non-proliferation.
Judas, just download more RAM. It's not a RAM issue, y'all. Also, actually, Edge does seem better. Yeah, Edge does seem better, actually. Yeah, I should download more CPU, though. That's definitely the thing that I should do. All right, let's try to bring Josh back up.
Can you hear me now?
Josh, I can hear you. Do you want to talk about the topic? What do you believe in?
Yes. Well, I believe in God.
Okay. Yeah, so which one?
Well, so I believe in, I guess you could say, like, as a religious practice, right? You would,
Sure.
or to put it in the framework of a religious practice. I approach my worship from a monotheistic perspective. I'm a Muslim.
Okay.
So here's the situation that we find ourselves in, right? You're asking, your contention is that something doesn't exist, right?
Yep.
That there's a thing being described that doesn't exist.
Yep.
What my question for you is what you think this thing is that's being described, and whether you're overlooking, in part because of the kind of crude data recording methods of the time, overlooking what people had a very difficult time articulating or describing, right? So you're asking if something exists, but my question to you is whether you know exactly what it is that you're looking for, or whether you are or whether you are accurately approaching or analyzing the phenomenon being described, again, in a time when there were not terribly precise recording instruments, right? Not like we have now. We have telephones, and we have computers and all sorts of fun stuff, right?
Yeah. So I'm just referring to any sort of, perhaps metaphysical or non-material entity with a mind that is responsible for creating or causing all of physical reality. How about that?
Okay, that sounds good. So let's approach this from, let's break down reality into kind of two components then, right? We have the kind of bare, lifeless physics of reality, and then we have the more kind of nuanced and chaotic sciences like biology, right?
Sure.
So to presume that there is a creator, right, is to presume that there is a being that is separate from both of these kind of systems, right? All of reality of physics, all reality of biology, right?
Well, and chemistry, and all that. Sure.
So what if this isn't the assertion?
Well, so the thing that I'm referring to is what I've already defined, which is some sort of metaphysical entity or non-physical or perhaps immaterial entity with a mind that is responsible for creating or causing physical reality. That's what I'm referring to.
Sure. So
that's like a pretty like minimalist definition of God, right?
Okay, so let's go with that then, right? So let's consider first then. Let's consider first the biological realm of existence, right? Not dealing with cold, dead physics. We're dealing with the evolution of life and the expanse of life, not only on our planet, but in the entire universe, right?
Sure.
So are there phenomenon that are recorded in the religious texts that you could or would ascribe to phenomenon that were explicitly biological and happening on Earth?
Sure.
Could you give me an example?
Yeah. I can't remember what book it's in. I want to say it's in Deuteronomy. And there is a discussion about how to prove when a woman who was married to somebody was not a virgin at upon marriage, and this is proved by examining the bed sheet that was upon which the marriage was consummated, and that's like a purely biological thing, right? Whether or not there's blood or not, which is not a very good test, but whether or not there's blood or not, that's a question of biology, and then whether it's absorbed into the sheets is like chemistry, or nothing supernatural happening there.
Right. Look, sex is messy, and oftentimes you'll leave evidence of sex, right?
Yep.
So, but that doesn't really pertain to the question of whether or not there is evidence of God, right? That
Yeah, but you just asked
I
for
mean,
something in the
that's
Bible
that's
that
kind
has
of
to
a
do with like physical or biological things. I just gave you an example.
no,
What,
no,
what-
I meant something described as, I guess, what people might refer to as like metaphysical or supernatural or miraculous.
metaphysical things are
that
like
might-
explicitly non-biological, right?
I may be misusing the word, which happens often enough. But
here's an example.
let's-
I believe Jesus resurrects Lazarus from the dead. That would be an example
Yes.
of like a miracle that's biological in nature, right?
The way that I understand resurrection, right, and as a Muslim, I'm very, very deeply involved in the problem of resurrection, specifically as it pertains to human beings, right? Whether it be Lazarus or Jesus or anyone else. My presumption, right, is that the mechanism by which a human being would be brought back from the dead would be a symbiotic and regenerative process involving likely a life form separate from human beings. Right?
Okay, so I mean, but that was an example. I mean, another example would be the ocean, or I guess the Nile filling with blood. Blood is definitely a biological thing, and the Nile filling with blood was one of the 10 plagues, right?
And yeah, and I've heard so many people talk about that being like an algae bloom or something like that. Or
But like, so why are you asking for an example of a
it-
biological thing in any of these holy texts?
Well, I'm asking because we are trying to establish whether or not there is a thing that exists by looking at the recorded evidence, as crude as it is, right?
Yes, that's the
So,
question.
and as a
I mean,
Muslim, one of the
by the way, you
problems,
don't
again, that I'm
actually
in-
have to refer to the texts. You could refer to other pieces of evidence as well. Doesn't matter to me.
what other pieces of evidence aside from the text are you referring to?
I don't know. Maybe you have other reasons that you are a believer.
I mean, look, life, all of my experience in life has taught me pretty explicitly that what is being described as God exists, whether or not we have a really complete understanding of it, right?
So why should I believe in it? Why should I think that it
well,
exists?
Well, can you see a black hole if you look up into the sky?
No, I don't think they're any close enough that you can see their accretion disk.
Does it benefit you to know that they exist? Does it help you in your work or your life, or
Sure,
your job,
yeah,
or
I'm
anything like
interested
that?
in it. Sure.
So that's to my mind, right? Understanding the way things are is really crucial to being able to navigate one's existence, right?
I
Which
agree,
which isn't to say that it's going to make everything go smoothly.
The question is that actually a part of our existence? That's the point in contention, right? Because if it is, then I'd love to believe in it because I would like to believe true things, right? The point in contention is whether it's actually true, and that's what I'm asking you to convince me of.
Sure. Now let's move away for a moment from biology, and let's talk about Einstein for a second, because Einstein
are any of these things that we're going to talk about, are they going to be things that should convince me that it's true?
Ideally.
Okay.
And again, and one thing I was about to say is one of the problems as a Muslim that I'm engaged in very deeply is finding ways in which the Quran describes reality in a way that there wasn't necessarily the science or the vocabulary to do that with when the Quran was revealed, right?
That's fine. I mean, you've spent time interpreting this, so you can reframe it in a way that is understandable by modern humans, and including me. So why not convince me why it's true, rather than because it just sounds like you're talking around the issue rather than actually just talking about the thing you want to talk about.
Well, no, I'm just trying to get you to see the issue from the perspective of other people that has helped me, right? So let's talk about Einstein for a second, who was a believer in God, right?
That's contentious.
He didn't think God played dice with the universe. So if he didn't think God played dice,
that doesn't mean that could very easily have been metaphorical language.
Well, it's so funny, right? Because he's talking about uncertainty there, right? He's talking about the uncertainty principle right there, and then he's saying, "I don't believe God plays dice with the universe." Are we really having a debate as to whether or not God exists simply because we have an incomplete understanding of God? Right? Just because our understanding of the bridge between the quantum and the Newtonian relative realm aren't complete doesn't mean that we don't acknowledge that they exist, right? So let's consider a physics question that I am really struggling with lately, which hopefully and ideally leads us to kind of another level of understanding of what is being described as God by people who are trying to describe something that they're experiencing. Right? Let's talk about.
We already have a working definition, right? Do you agree with my definition or not?
Repeat the definition.
A metaphysical or non-material or non-physical entity with a mind that is responsible for causing or otherwise creating physical reality.
And
is that a definition that you agree with, at like the most minimal notion of God?
Depending on how we are defining mind, right? What is our definition?
Something with agency. How about that?
Okay. All right. So let's consider.
But hold on. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that definition?
If we're defining mind as agency, then sure.
Okay.
So
why should I believe in that?
Well, again, let's consider a black hole for a second. Just come along the journey with me, right? And if it doesn't take you to the place you want to go, then I'll refund your ticket.
You can't refund time, so make sure that you land the plane.
I'll do my best. That's fucking fun. Pardon my friend. So, at the event horizon, right? We don't know what's happening, but what we do know is that.
Sure, we do.
Well, beyond the event horizon. I'm sorry, beyond the event horizon is what I meant to say. Is that more accurate?
Sure.
So beyond the event horizon, we don't know what's happening because we have no ability to observe this, right? What we do know is that E equals mc squared, and as that system accelerates, right, it's becoming increasingly massive and increasingly energetic, right?
I wouldn't say that's a good characterization, but I don't think it's relevant for the point you're trying to make.
Well, rephrase it in a way that's better, and I'll see if my point adjusts with it.
There's not much to rephrase. The statement was just false.
Well, describe. Would you mind describing?
Doesn't apply here. Nothing's accelerating. Like,
what's happening as things move towards the singularity? Are they moving?
Falling.
Is that going to be an acceleration as the curvature of spacetime becomes more extreme?
No, it's not. It's not an acceleration. It's inertial motion. It's definitionally not an acceleration. It's falling.
So the same mathematics wouldn't apply to explain to me what this means, inertial acceleration.
Well, no, it's inertial motion. It's not acceleration.
Inertial motion. Well, explain to me that
it's the kind of motion. It's the kind of motion that you feel when you're, when you're floating, if you will.
So things just move at a steady velocity towards the singularity. They don't. They're not.
It's complicated.
As gravity becomes more extreme, they don't accelerate.
They don't undergo. Okay, it's complicated. The notion of acceleration and relativity is not the notion of acceleration that you're familiar with. You could talk about coordinate acceleration, and sure, it'll have that. It's just not like a useful notion. But anyway, what's the point that you're trying to make here? Because I don't think it's actually
to land the plane quickly, right? What I understand happens as matter is basically inverted by the singularity, is that it's stripped away by basically category of its components, and as that happens, it undergoes quantum increases in velocity, what I would describe as quantum acceleration.
So
on the other side of that process, is the creation of a positive curvature of space-time with nothing at its center. And that positive curvature of space-time is what's giving the illusion of dark matter, is what's giving the illusion of extra mass where it doesn't exist, and mimicking its effects. But wait, the most important part of this is the way that matter. The only way that matter is able to reconvene itself, or energy is able to reconvene itself into matter after its essential annihilation through the mechanism of singularity, right? Which is the ultimate collapse of a star is when the singularity collapses and turns into an area of positively curved space-time with nothing at its center, right? This is the secret that Einstein kept from people for a very long time, hoping people would be smart enough to figure it out.
Josh,
the brain,
literally,
the mind of the universe is
Josh, literally everything you said was wrong.
Okay.
And I don't say that lightly. There wasn't a single sentence that contained modern physics in it.
All right.
In fact, Einstein wasn't even the person who discovered the idea of black holes.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you what I've heard. I'm telling you what I've heard.
Wrong.
I'm sorry. So now
So
if you want to tell me I'm wrong, please explain to me the ways that I'm wrong. Because if you just tell me I'm wrong for the sake of telling me I'm wrong, then you're not a very good teacher.
So I'm happy to do that on a day where this is Ask a Physicist questions, but I presume that your goal was to try to convince me of some belief about, a God that you believe in. So can we talk about that instead?
Sure.
Because that is the topic of discussion, and I assumed that you were going there.
Sure.
Please continue.
I mean, that was basically all I had to say, man.
But what does that have to do with God at all?
See, the mechanism of God, right, is that it obeys laws of physics. Right?
If you believe that claim, then you don't believe that God created physical reality.
God is its own mind.
So
right?
Do you not believe
the laws that it's created?
I'm sorry. Do you not believe that God is responsible for physical reality?
Environment of these physical.
Do I have to turn up my own volume? Do you not believe that God is responsible for physical reality? Do you not believe that God is responsible for physical reality?
I'm of the understanding that we live in a cyclical universe, and that the general mechanism of God is that it is regenerative and self-creating, self-annihilating, self-creating. That's what I'm under the understanding.
I'm pretty sure that that's inconsistent with Islamic theology. But the point is that if you believe God is subject to the laws of physics, then God is not responsible for the laws of physics. A thing cannot be governed by a thing that it itself caused. In which case, you're just out of luck, because then you have laws of physics that are causally prior to the God that you believe in. So God isn't responsible for causing physical reality.
Well, I'm suggesting a cyclical universe that both destroys and recreates itself. Both destroys and then disobeys all of its laws, and then recreates and reestablishes all of its own laws. That's what I'm suggesting.
I mean, but that doesn't seem to have anything to do with. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with belief in God.
That's not only my understanding of the universe we live in, that's my understanding of God. And again, one of my problems that I'm engaged with as a Muslim is verifying the things that Muhammad said and verifying the things that were said in the religious testaments before him by demonstrating that they are trying to commucate modern phenomena in a way that was impossible at the time.
So look,
again,
Josh, I think that you're an apostate.
Isn't there a physicist that...
Josh, I think you're an apostate.
You would, but explain to me.
No, I mean, like I think if you went to Saudi Arabia and then said those things, I think you'd probably be hanged, or however they do executions.
No, I don't think so. I think that's really xenophobic. I think that's a really ignorant.
Well, no, I mean there are places in the Middle East, and I think Saudi Arabia is an example where apostasy is, as long as if you're obnoxious about it, if you are preaching this or something like that, then yeah, it's punishable by death. It's not xenophobic to say that. That's literally the law in those places. That's
not an apostasy. Why would that be an apostasy?
No. I think what you just conveyed was apostasy, because that is completely... I've spoken with a lot of Muslims, right? And that is in complete contradiction with basically everything that any other Muslim has ever said. And they all have pretty much consistent stories.
You know, there's language barriers. B, not all Muslims are made the same. That's why I say it's xenophobic.
Right. I'm not saying that all Muslims think the same. What I'm saying is that there is Orthodox Islam, and you are an apostate towards that.
That's really insulting.
I mean,
really,
like,
really
you're
insulting.
allowed to look. If you want to be an apostate, it doesn't matter to me. Like, I'm not gonna think less of you if you're being creative with your beliefs. But like, you should consider that have you spoken?
No, that's really xenophobic, man.
I don't think it's xenophobic.
To say that Muslims don't get it, man, that's xenophobic.
I'm not saying they don't get it. I'm saying that your belief contradicts theirs.
And I'm saying you're wrong. I'm saying if you got that impression from someone, it was either a language barrier or you were talking to the wrong guy.
I've spoken with English first language Muslims before who disagree with you.
Oh, well, that may be part of the problem. But anyways, what I was going to ask you a question. Isn't there a quantum physicist or one of the contemporaries of either Hawking or Bohr, or like one of these guys from back when, like, who has like a cyclical model of the universe and black holes?
Not that I can.
Is that the Mandela effect? I'm trying to
probably.
I read something about that.
Penrose wasn't a contemporary of them, and his cyclic model of the universe doesn't involve black holes.
What is it? Could you explain it to me? Because that was really
it's just a Big Bang re-expansion, or it's a Big Bang expansion, and then the expansion, once it's reached its maximal entropy state, it does something that is not really well described, and then it Big Bangs again, and it does that over and over again.
See, this has when you talk about that, then I start thinking about this idea of the positive curvature of space-time. But I know we're not talking about that.
That's not the subject for today.
No, it's not. But
if you want to come on and ask about physics, I do ask a physicist every Wednesday. You can come on then.
I haven't seen that. I think I will. But let's talk more. Let's talk more about whether, you know, part of the daily prayer, man, is that God does not create things the way that you and I create things, which is like by biological mechanisms, right?
Sure.
So,
but
you know,
what is that?
Yeah,
okay, sure.
So my understanding of God, man, is that it's not like when we're talking about science, we're talking about typically like biology or physics, this or that. But my understanding of God is that you know, it has to, you know, as a Muslim who's approaching science from a kind of Muslim perspective, the principle is Allahu Akbar, right? God is the greatest, right? So everything encompassing physics and biology must be what God is either encompassing or what God is, right? If there is anything, if there even is anything, which doesn't imply that there necessarily is anything beyond
that's the
our
claim.
universe.
I'm asking you to convince me of the claim.
Shit. You know, what could I say that could convince you of the claim in a moment like this?
I don't know. That's your job to figure out.
Shit, man. Yeah, you know, I mean, I really hope that that we sorry, I was about to go off on a tangent again. It's hard for me to talk about God and physics separately, especially when I'm talking to a physicist about God, right?
Well, it would become easier if you went and learned some physics.
But let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question then. Ask me a question about God, and let me tell you the answer as best as I can give it to you.
Yeah, why should I believe it exists?
Well, first, I would say because there's evidence.
Okay, what's the evidence?
The evidence is recorded principally in religious texts, right, and personal testimonies.
Can you give me an example of this evidence?
So there's testimony about resurrections. There's testimony about extraterrestrial beings, for lack of a better word, right? There's principally those are the two areas of religious phenomenon via testimony that I concern myself with, because I think that they're among the most meaningful.
So,
But
that's fine. That is a type
evidence.
of evidence. It's just not very trustworthy evidence because, like, for example, that's not the kind of evidence that would ever be admissible in a court. It would never be sufficient to say, to prove, say, a murder, that we have a book who we don't know who wrote it, or in the case of the Quran, we do know who wrote it, sort of. We have this book from hundreds of years ago that said that this person did that. That would never fly in a court. So like it is evidence, but it's like one of the weakest types of evidence you could potentially have.
Witness testimony is regarded
recorded
as like
witness
intrinsically
recorded witness testimony is even worse.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really, really the problem, right? Now, and this problem is really complicated by the fact that, again, we're talking about human circumstances in a fairly kind of isolated framework, right? And if there is any kind of quote unquote magic out there, right, which going by the logic that says that anybody's technology looks like magic to primitive people, right? We're sitting here left unable to really make the kind of scientific observations we need to, whether or not that's by design or just by our own primitiveness is difficult to say. But our ability to testify as witnesses is explicitly limited. And I deal a lot with amnesia.
So is that the best evidence that we have? Because if it is, it's on very shaky footing, and we probably shouldn't believe it's true.
Right, that's human nature, right? Is we're not supposed is we're this animal that's supposed to look at each other like we're so untrustworthy, right? But
no, you don't have to look. The size of the evidence required is proportional to the size of the claim, right? If we had if we had testimony from 600 years ago or 1400 years ago that like a dude named Muhammad rode or like made some bread one day, like I would believe that because that's a very, very ordinary claim, and so it's sufficient to have a very ordinary level of evidence. But if you're going to make an extraordinary claim, you need an extraordinary amount of evidence.
True. Now, that's interesting that you say that, though, because all of the kind of mundane observations of Muhammad, do you consider those as evidence of the veracity of some of the things that he described that are more difficult to document or record?
No, I think that there's such a thing as historical fiction. This would be a good example of that, where you have historical things sprinkled in with fictional things. Like, you can have real mundane things happening in the same story as fantastical things.
Yeah, this is true, right? If you are creating like a story for children, it's part and parcel to the medium that you create things that are fantastic or that are imaginative, right? But if you are trying to undertake a more complicated or serious task than simple storytelling, and you are actually trying to, make sense of very difficult to describe, very difficult to recall, and in general, very difficult to understand phenomena, right? I totally forgot where I started that last answer. What were you talking about before?
I was saying that, historical fiction exists. That doesn't mean that we should believe the historical fiction.
Right. When you're trying to do something as serious as religion is trying to do, which is to compete with politics, right? To compete with politics and generally to compete with politics to deliver answers to the same questions in a superior manner, historically, right? These are kind of competing schools of making sense of our realities, right? The notion that you would infuse these things with storytelling and embellishment really detracts from the seriousness of the problems that they try to solve, and affects necessarily your ability to approach those problems or the solutions inherent to either kind of schools.
Why should I believe
operation.
the claims made in the Quran, for example?
Well, which claim?
That Muhammad split the moon in two, or that the moon was split in two. Because if you want to get technical, it doesn't actually say he did it, but.
So, you know what? I'm not familiar with that particular. Is that a surah or a hadith, or where is that from?
It's in the Quran.
So it's a surah. Do you know which one?
I can find it if you want.
Hopefully, it's a short surah.
It's literally 2 verses. So, Surah Al-Qamar. I guess it's the 54th surah, verse 1.
All right, let me look that up. My knee-jerk reaction is to ask you how the moon was formed.
Yeah, not by being split in two.
Well, how was it formed, though?
It coalesced. I mean, the best idea that we have is that it coalesced after a large collision between proto-Earth and a smaller planet.
So the moon was part of something else?
The moon was kicked off from the Earth. The other planet is known as Theia. The moon was kicked off from the proto-Earth Theia collision.
Those two accounts don't seem incompatible to me.
The moon was never split in two.
But it was, how would you describe it?
It coalesced as a molten blob of rock after a large-scale collision.
That's much more articulate. But you have the benefit of being in the 21st century.
But it was never split in two. Like, it's just strictly false, unless you think it was split in two at some point, which it wasn't.
Well, look, man. Again, Muhammad didn't have a PhD. Muhammad couldn't read.
He could have said that he could. And by the way, what you would be describing is the moon forming, not being split. Like, it's not. Like, it's just wrong.
Well, I mean, look, man. Are you going to go back in time and argue with a dude from 1,000 years ago and say you didn't have the words for this and I blame you for it?
It's not. He would have had the words for it. He could have said that, like molten iron, it molded or it formed or something.
Sorry,
like those words existed, right? He could have said like molten iron, it formed, or whatever. Like, there's so many ways that, or like molten bronze.
Or look, I'm reading this. I'm reading this.
Yeah, your connection's real not good. Really not good.
There, cut out. I couldn't.
Your connection's not great. Your
bad.
connection is less than ideal.
Yeah, it keeps telling me that. It keeps telling me that. Can you hear me at all?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. So when I read this, the hour draws near, the moon is split in two.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think they're describing something. I think he's describing something in the future when he says the hour draws near.
If you read the next 2 verses, it's literally referring to the past tense.
Whenever the disbelievers see a sign, they turn away and say, same old sorcery.
And then the next one.
They reject the truth and follow their own desires. Everything is recorded. Although the warning tales that should have been restrained to them have come down to them. Far-reaching wisdom, but these warnings do not help. I don't understand. My first instinct was he was talking about the formation of the moon. But this describes a time when something so calamitous as that occurs in the future. And we should have seen that coming because we were delivered signs through his messengers.
Well, it says the hour has drawn near, does it not?
Well, it depends on interpretation. And, one of my huge faults as a Muslim and probably as a human being is that I don't speak Arabic. If I spoke Arabic, I could explain to you things as they're said in Arabic as articulately as I can explain to you things as they're said in English. Unfortunately, I don't speak Arabic, which sucks.
So, by the way, the standard Muslim apologia for this particular claim is that it did split in two, and then God put it back together.
I don't know whose interpretation that is, or what tradition that's from, or what context in which that's said. See, the really important thing with religion is context. If you take
I mean, in principle, there's
things
tafsir,
out of
right?
context.
I mean, like you could just look at the tafsir, right?
I'm sorry?
You could just look at the tafsir for that verse.
Say that again?
You could just look for the tafsir. Look at the tafsir.
Oh, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Teach me something.
Are you a recent convert?
Yeah, I'm a fairly recent revert. Yeah.
Okay, so it's essentially like commentary, like official commentary.
Yeah. And again, I would have to look at you have to look at everything that is written by a religious scholar or in a religious book completely within context. Nothing is extricable from context in a way that would make any sense. You have to take it wholly within context.
Yeah, so you can go to Quran.com, go to Quran.com.
You can't pluck a sentence out of it. All right, I'm here.
Go to Quran.com, go to Surah 54. Then on verse 1, there will be a four little drop-down thing, and then the third one from the top is called Tafsirs. You can click on that, and it'll have a whole bunch of commentary. And all of the commentary says, yes, Muhammad was, showing this thing for these people, and then this verse is demonstrating that they were not even believing it. This is how faithless these people were, etc., etc. Like, this is all described as something that did happen, not something that will happen. But like, look, I think that you shouldn't be trying to convince me of something if I know more about it than you do.
I just didn't know a word.
No, I mean, but like, you hadn't heard of this verse either.
Yeah, no, I had forgotten it. I'd read it before and forgotten it.
Well, look, Josh, I'm going to let you go. You can go read the Tafsir, and I'm going to bring him another guest. But thanks for being here. Also, the lag was pretty bad. Oh, actually, we have a guest from YouTube, I believe. Let me just... Oh, no, our YouTube guest has vanished. All right, we were waiting for one particular person to come up, but it looks like they're not here, which is a bummer. But let's bring up Enoch. Titan Guts. That was not the guy from Discord, no. Enoch, how's it going? By the way, all, if you want to support the live, make sure to, like and subscribe and all of these things. So, what do you believe, and what are you going to try to convince me of?
Well, I'm not Christian. I guess you would call it some form of atheism. I haven't looked into what you would actually call it. But just from watching your interaction with that guy, and, just my general beliefs, it is so obvious to me that your question, can you convince me to believe in God? I can answer that now. No, I cannot.
Okay, cool.
I cannot convince you. Personally, I know that I could not convince you because, number one...
Cool. This is Tone Policing. Thanks for being here, Enoch. Don't care. I don't care about the commentary. It's a prompt. All right, let's talk to Leo Righteous. That is Tone Policing, yeah. He's mad that I'm asking a question that he thinks I already know the answer to. Leo, how's it going?
Hi, thank you. Do you hear me well enough?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, in order to convince you to believe in God, I think the only way would be if you would find, I don't know, interaction, interaction between a higher source, a higher whatever.
You don't think that you can do it?
I think that we have to establish a way of thinking that you can accept, because anyone who talks to you can tell you, okay, there are scriptures, there are people who are describing their face-to-face experiences, and that you can believe or not,
Okay, but if you're not going to try to, are you going to try to convince me or no?
Well, I would have liked to try to convince you in a way of thinking, or in a way of reaching out, like you would read Peter Garyarev, that was a PhD who actually made some research into DNA, into the connection, into maybe a higher space that could lead or would lead into the higher form of life. That is what I could do. But to convince you in the way you want me to convince you for right now, that I bring you the ultimate sentence you believe, I'm sorry, that I think I can't do with everything I know, not. And if
Okay.
this is not
Well, then-
the right way for you to talk, I absolutely accept it. It's just that I think whatever exists, we will find in science.
Okay.
At the interaction,
Sure. But thanks for being here, Leo. If you don't want to have the debate, the topic of conversation, then I'll move on to the next guest. All right, we have a guy named Coyote. And I may or may not have a meeting soon. I tried to push the meeting back by an hour and a half, but he hasn't gotten back to me. But that also makes me think that he's not awake. So, maybe we have good reason to think that the meeting will be not yet.
Yeah, hi, good
Coyote.
evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
hi,
you.
good evening.
Do you believe
Okay,
in God,
fine.
and can you convince me of it?
Yes, of course, I believe in God, and I was atheist for 7 years myself.
Okay, which one do you believe in?
So, no, I believe there is a God, a creator, but let's not talk about the attribute. Let's go to
Well, but no,
main
I'm just
issue.
asking. I'm just asking which one do you believe in, just so I can get some context.
No, I said I'm Muslim. I said it
Oh,
in the
okay,
chat
I didn't
5
hear that. I'm
times,
sorry.
which-
Wendigo, thank you for the 200
It's-
crowns.
it's
I
fine,
appreciate
it's
you. Go ahead. All right, what you got for me?
Okay, so okay, I come from a bit of scientific background myself. I'm an engineer myself. So
Okay.
I'm not
Engineering
a
isn't
physicist,
science, but that's fine.
I like to go by. Yeah, I know that's the. Guess what, my friend? I did physics for 2 years, then I shifted to engineering, and I regretted
Fair.
it, by the way.
Okay,
But
that's
that's
fair.
not the case.
I would
now.
regret it too.
Okay, now the first argument. I don't want to sound cliche, but one of the first argument that comes across if you look at it, objectively. Number one, the fine tuning of this universe, and of course, you know better than me about the cosmological constant. This universe would not exist from the weak forces, nuclear forces, to whatever forces we have listed, from gravity to whatever electromagnetic, that wouldn't exist without those very fine-tuned constant, and that's your domain. I'm pretty sure you're gonna argue with me on it, but then
Probably.
anytime I put that discussion with anyone who has a higher IQ than me, he will always come back to me and tell me, yeah, but my friend, who told you there was n number of tries and it failed? This is the only one that succeeded. So how can you negate the n-1? So if we start from the cosmological constant, and I guess you understood what I mean, this very fine tuning of very specific physics law that governs everything around it, for me, it's a vector indication that there is an intelligent design behind it. And now I'm not talking about Allah and Islam or Jesus or whoever or Yahweh.
So
I'm
let
talking
me
about
ask you
the
this:
intelligent design.
why do you think it's finely tuned? Why do you think the cosmological constant is finely tuned?
Otherwise, we won't be talking here on TikTok.
No, I'm sorry.
Why?
Why do you? So the fine tune argument is essentially that there is this thing that, were it in a more plausible way, then sorry. Let me respond to a text message about the meeting. I'm trying to delay it. Okay. So yeah. Were in a more plausible configuration, then the cosmological constant would be vastly different. And the claim is that it is very unlikely that the cosmological constant, if it is truly a cosmological constant, is the value that it is today. That is the claim, that you think that it's unlikely that it would be the value it is today? If you were just picking it randomly?
It's like in a billiard game. You have those 200 plus balls. Each ball is a different color, and the probability of them coming in a certain arrangement, in probability A and B, n factorial over n minus p, the probability of them coming into that arrangement, into that values, that if any of those balls would move 1 femtometer.
I understand it. Is your claim that it is unlikely that the cosmological constant has the value that it has today in our universe? Do you think is the claim that you think that? Because if you don't think that it's unlikely, then there's no fine tuning. There's no fine tuning problem, right?
Okay, but then on the other side, my friend, they were moving or variable all the time, and then
I'm
they
not. No,
came
no.
and
Sorry, I'm
froze
not
it.
implying that they're variable. I'm saying.
Ah,
I'm saying. Do you think it's unlikely that it has the value that it has in our universe?
it's unlikely. No, because I believe in intelligent design. I mean, that
Okay,
was a
let me
conclusion, not
rephrase.
I believe.
Do you think that it's
Yeah, yeah.
unlikely given a natural explanation for the universe?
Come again. Sorry, rephrase it.
So
One more
if the
time.
universe had a natural cause, i.e. not a supernatural cause, do you think it would be unlikely for the cosmological constant to take on the value that it has today,
No, they
or
could
that it has
have.
in our
No,
universe?
they could have.
I'm
No,
asking,
they
do you
could
think
have.
it's well, if you don't think it's unlikely, then there's no fine-tuning problem.
Yeah, but then again, it's empirical. It's all about probability
Yeah.
of
So
occurrences.
right? So do you think it's unlikely, or do you think it's likely?
It's unlikely that they come without a prime mover.
Okay.
It's
Why
not
do you think
zero.
that?
It's not nil. It
I
converges to zero.
Okay.
It's
Why do you think
asymptotic
it's
to zero.
Why do you think the probability is small without a prime mover?
Because you see, okay, now we started by those cosmological constants, but I have to jump to another one because it's a multitude of postula or axiom that
Well,
makes
let's
me
just stick with the
reach.
cosmological constant, and then just because I just want to know why you think that it's improbable that the cosmological constant is small, absent a prime mover.
Because of those cosmological constants, I'm asking that question now, and you are debating with me. Because why would the universe that is, mindless, why would it create something as conscious? I mean, like my level of consciousness is not 100%. I even ask myself about consciousness sometimes, if I am conscious or if it is just pre-whatever.
Wait a
But
minute. Wait a
then,
minute.
what is the purpose of the universe creating a life form, an
Can
organic
you just
life
answer the
form?
question about the cosmological constant, please?
I already did. I told you it's very low.
I'm
already
asking
did. I
why
told-
you think it has a low probability, absent a prime mover.
It has a low probability, basically, because it serves no physical or mathematical significance for me to be here.
What if I told you that it does?
I mean, like, humans on this earth, if I look at it from a closed system, they're nothing but viruses. We're a virus. We
Hold
need
on. Why are we changing the topic? We're talking about the cosmological constant, aren't we?
Yeah, you are asking why is it improbabilistically that I am here now? That's
No,
what
that's
you're
not what
saying.
I'm
Because
asking. I'm asking why is the cosmological constant, why is it improbable that the cosmological constant takes on the value that it does in a universe without a prime mover? Why is that improbable?
no, it is very low, but then you have to have n
Why?
number of
Why
universes.
do you think it's low? That's what I'm asking. Why do you think the probability is low?
There are mathematical model for this. I've seen
Okay.
the.
What if I told you that there's a mathematical model that predicts a low cosmological constant?
A low value, all of them being
Yes.
aligned, all of them.
I'm talking specifically about the cosmological constant.
Then I will examine it with my empirical mind. I
Okay,
wouldn't,
you should go
I
do
wouldn't-
that. You should DM me because I specifically wrote a paper on this very subject.
Okay, drop me please on the directly. Let
Okay.
me go and read this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
you'll have to
So-
DM me. I'll message it to you after the live.
Please. Okay, something else, if you allow me just 1 minute.
Sure.
I know there are many people waiting. When I mean the gentleman before me, most probably he's a new convert, blah blah blah. I'm not gonna argue with him, but I am an Arabic speaker. So you have to understand one thing, and I'm not talking here spirituality and Sufism. No. I'm talking as a more or less. I consider myself a bit rational. Yeah. When you read the Quran, you have to read it not textually. It's not you just. Let me give you a straightaway example because you were quoting from the Quran. You know what the name kafir means in Arabic? Kafara.
Tell me. I don't.
Okay.
I don't speak Arabic.
Kafir. Yeah, I know, but you can verify my claim now. Kafir,
I trust you.
Kafir in ancient Arabic, if you ask any Arab now, they will give you a wrong answer. Kafar al-shay means he covered it. Kafir, cover. So I say, I cover the truth. I am kafir. I am covering the truth that I have seen in my own eyes. If I go to a tribunal and I give false testimonial to a fact that I know, I am called kafir. Kafir is not a bad word, by the way, in Arabic. Kafir is number one. To be kafir, you have to have two things, two attributes. You have to know the truth, and then you have to try to hide it. And please verify my claim after we finish this talk. So the word kafir is not a bad word in Arabic. You can say,
wait a minute, hold on. So if you want to talk about the last guy, do that in the comments. That's not for here.
Yeah. Fine. So in the Quran, when he talks those al-kafirun, definitely from my Arabic understanding, even I'm Arab native, but still, I have linguistic limitation, but still, when this is a misconception for all Westerners and non-Muslims. They think he's talking about the whole planet. No. He's talking specifically about his tribe, Quraysh, his uncles.
Wait, are we talking about the moon thing?
No, I'm coming to the moon thing.
Well, hold on, one sec. Nectu, thank you for the $5 super chat, by the way. And no, I will not explain my name, but thank you for the $5 anyway. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just giving a small example that is a misconception. For kafir, people think they're talking about non-Muslim. No.
It just seems irrelevant to the conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Now let me tell you about inshaqqa. I'm coming to that word. So I gave you the easy word because everybody on this planet, the 7 billion, they heard about the word kafir, and everybody has a wrong conception.
Okay. I just don't care about that. I don't have a preconception about it. So let's land the plane.
Okay, inshaqqa, what is the English translation, bro?
I don't know. Moon?
Yeah,
is it moon? Split? Okay.
Split.
Okay.
No, but inshaqqa in ancient Arabic does not mean split.
Okay.
Inshaqqa means to take. When I say inshaqqa dhahabu min al-fidda, I mean extracted. When I say I extracted the gold from the mountain, I say inshaqqa. That's something extracted from something. It is not split in a knife like people think. Inshaqqa means that you took it, you take the part from the whole.
So why is Dr. Mustafa Khattab giving that translation?
And I don't care Bukhari. I care about something you can verify after we finish the chat. I don't
what about
all tafasir. The inshaqqa, inshiqaq.
It seems like the top seers agree that it was split into.
The top tiers? There is no top tiers in Islam.
No, I said top seer. I said top seer.
Yeah. Tafsir. Which tafsir? Ibn Abbas.
Basically all of them. They all refer to it.
No, bro. Please don't generalize.
Ibn Kathir?
You're a science man. Do not. These guys.
How about Ibn Kathir? Ma'arif al-Quran?
Ibn Kathir.
Yeah,
all the Sihah and all these guys, they have their opinion. It doesn't make it Quran.
So you have your opinion then, I guess. Why should I believe you rather than
I have my opinion that is based on my understanding of ancient Arabic language.
But do you speak ancient Arabic?
I am lucky enough, and that's pure luck, that my mother is an ancient Arabic professor in university. She taught 47 years. So,
okay.
And she had
can you tell her to come on? Can you tell her to come on?
She doesn't speak English. That's unfortunate.
That is unfortunate.
She has 2 PhD in original Arabic, in ancient Arabic. So inshaqqa, like I was saying, is extracting the whole, the part from the whole. It's not split like most Muslims think. So this is for the inshaqqa al-qamar. But that's a weak argument. If a Muslim will come and debate you with a book you don't believe in, that's it's a circular logic. Why would anyone debate you with the Quran? It doesn't make any sense.
I agree. So Coyote, so how are you going to convince me then, rather than talking about the Quran, if it won't convince me?
Okay, fine. I'm not a physicist, but I love math. Yeah, I'm passionate about math. The mathematical model. You see that? That thing I have on my profile.
Euler's denominator. Very familiar.
EI pi plus 1 equals 0, you understood it. But how come, and for me, that's a sign of God. How come the magical number of pi that never finishes, and the Euler number, and the complex number of I, and 1 come all in an equation equal to 0? For me,
it's because complex numbers, unit complex numbers, are described by a circle, and pi describes circles.
I understand
so it's very
the polar
unsurprising.
coordinates. No, bro.
So you're asking why pi shows up in polar coordinates, which is I don't know. Like that's why.
But no, maybe I did not explain myself. I understand that, and I know the polar coordinates and how it comes and cosine theta plus j. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking that the beauty of mathematics. If I'm sure you know more mathematics than me, but the beauty of mathematics itself makes me I don't like the word feel because it's subjective. It's like a roadmap. It's like a clues on the road for you to understand that there is something in the intrinsic beauty, you know, the you know, this 2.71718, you know, the Euler number, and how you find it in flowers. How you can go to dissect a flower and you find that ratio, that magical ratio, golden ratio.
Yeah, the golden ratio is not Euler's number, by the way. Those are different numbers. No, you're thinking of 1.618.
Yeah, I know, bro. I'm just giving.
But you know why flowers and pine cones and sun and all of those things. You know why they have a golden ratio, right? In them, like you know that there's an explanation.
Of course, they serve a purpose, and it's a physical purpose. It's not a spiritual purpose,
right?
Yeah, but then let me give you my last argument, and that argument I came by myself. Okay. God is my witness. If I read it somewhere, that's because I've spent 7 years in atheism.
I believe.
And trust me, I was debating people like hell, and I was there are people who are still not believer because of me, but that's my own story.
Good.
But yeah, I'm going to hell. Yeah, directly. No, but
straight. I'll see you there, I guess. Right.
No. I'm not Salafi. I don't belong to the traditional stupid school in Islam. I'm a bit different. Whatever. That's not the discussion here.
Anyway.
Let me tell you one thing. From evolution, from Darwinism itself. Yeah. From even I'm a engineer, but I like to read biology. Okay. Now, evolution says that the traits that will increase the survivability of the species will be carried by generation to come. And it's not the strongest, it's the fittest. So I don't need to give an example. You understood the concept and you know it already. Now, I had a question for me, like, why are we still afraid of death? I was thinking about it. If man, the first, I forgot her name, that skeleton in Africa,
Lucy.
1.7 million. Nancy, yeah, something like that.
No,
Nancy,
Lucy.
Yeah.
Lucy,
yeah. I thought Nancy Reagan. I'm joking. Lucy.
The throat goat. I shouldn't say that. Go ahead. Sorry. That's on me. They can ban me, not you. So Lucy, Lucy, and maybe there were before Lucy even. I'm always thinking all the attributes that we have, whether it's the frontal lobe, whether it's the ability to climb trees, and then we don't need it when we became farmers. I believe in evolution as a way, like it was improving man's life and its survivability. Then I had a question: why did that evolution eliminate the fear of death? Because it serves no purpose. Oh, it serves so much purpose. That's like one of the most important things that you can have. Because if you don't have a fear of death, you're more likely to go into situations where you'll die.
No, I understand. No, I don't mean it in a suicidal way, like go and jump off a cliff.
No. What I mean is like for as an example, imagine that that you have two early hominids, right? And they're both standing next to each other near a cliff. One of them is afraid of falling off. The other one just isn't afraid of death. They're just not afraid of falling off, not afraid of any of that. And which one will be more careful?
Yeah, I hear you. Maybe, sorry, I'm not an English native speaker. Let me reformulate my statement. I didn't mean it like, my brain did not come. There is beta error here. What I meant to say is that why man was all spilled tons of ink talking about the life after death, talking about, what can happen after death, and talking about, his purpose on this earth. It doesn't matter. Ancient civilization, I'm talking even before the Abrahamic, why in the Inca they used to kill children and give their blood so that the God, I don't know who will accept the offering. So what I mean to say is that fear, that anxious, I'm not saying fear of death, that anxiety.
That anxiety comes from the same place. It comes from the same place, right? That anxiety comes from the fear.
Okay, but for me, the answer for it, let me tell you in my simple-minded logic. For me, why we are anxious about finishing on this earth in 70, 80, 90 years? We are anxious because, again, it's another clue in nature that we will, you know, we are afraid because basically the answer comes back and there is no death, basically. There is a transformation. Even physics talks about that energy transformation, you know.
Yeah, but you know that
So
that's not the same thing as what you have in religion.
no, I'm taking it at face value here. I'm not talking even spirituality. But, you know, if you take it at the face value, you know, energy will be conserved and then, you know, recycled, blah, blah, blah. But then, you know why we are still having it ingrained
Why?
you know,
Tell
in
me.
our heart? Because for me, that's another code that is ingrained in our heart, in our mind, in our neuron, I don't know what you call it. That is, without that fear, without that anxiety, then we would not be having debates like this one now. So it is in a way a signaling coming from somewhere, so we go and look for purpose. And that's,
So-
you know, we're seeking a truth. Now, it doesn't matter where we see, for me, in my eye, my friend, let me tell you, the God I believe in, this is very subjective. You see, the God I believe in will never, ever, ever punish you for what you're doing. You know why?
Good.
Because
Okay,
you lose
great.
your mind. Even, no, I'm not being, you know, all for, no, I'm not that person. I believe in consequences. But any seeker of truth, whether he reaches the end result or not, if you are still convinced until your last breath, you know what? Whether you like it or not,
I appreciate that,
you're gonna
but
end
that,
up in a good place.
it's not relevant to the conversation, right?
Yeah, of course, it's not relevant. I'm just saying that fear of death itself is a clue ingrained by an intelligent designer.
I'm not so sure. It
Call it
seems
what
like
you
that.
want.
It seems like absolutely an evolutionary process would 100% give an anxiety towards death to any organism, including intelligent ones like us.
Okay.
Like
but,
that's actually probably the one thing that almost every animal has in common with every other animal.
yeah, but a lion walking in the jungle doesn't think about him dying next time he's gonna encounter a hyena. When he encounters a hyena,
Yeah.
on his
They
list,
don't. That's because they don't
doesn't think
have a whole
about
lot
it
of
like
forethought.
human.
We have forethought,
Yeah, but-
so we think about scary things, and then we're afraid of them. It's the exact same thing. We just do it more because we're smarter. Marduk, thank you for the $3. Like it's just because we're smarter, we think about it more. It's the same reason why we write so much about, you know, jealousy, right? Like you know, jealousy is a huge topic in, like, you know, in movies you'll have like the, you know, he stole my girl or whatever, like jealousy and all those things. Animals have jealousy too. They just don't think
Yeah,
about
of
it as
course.
much because they're less intelligent.
They're territorial and they want to make
Yeah,
sure that their prey is
right,
strapped in the
jealousy.
nest. And
Jealousy is exactly the same thing. It's just what happens when you're more intelligent and have the same territorial tendencies.
fair enough. Thank you, my friend, for giving me the time. I know I talk too much, but
It's
thank
fine.
you, and I respect
It's fine. You were the
discussion.
least
But I keep listening.
offensive yapper I've had on today. Thanks for being here, bud.
No, you're welcome. And let me finish with one last statement, please. I beg
All
you.
right, go ahead.
You know, Islam is many school of thoughts. Tafsir, by the way, that thing, maybe many people tell you, yeah, of course, Ibn Kathir, Ibn Abbas, you know, there are people who don't follow tafsir because I believe there is one word and then that's it. And everything else is subject to criticism because many of the tafsir are not serving the purpose. And I gave just two examples, kafara and shaqqa. And please Google it. Google kafara in ancient Arabic, what it means is to cover something that you know that exists.
Okay,
Thank you
I
so
believe
much.
you. I believe you.
I'll follow.
You don't have to-
I'll follow this channel. I'm lucky I found this channel. I follow you. Good job. Keep going. Keep listening. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks for being here, Coyote.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Why is there so much chat about Marvel Rivals in the YouTube chat right now? Fred is live? What a world we live in. Fred is a fun character. Fun is the word I would definitely like to use there. By the way, I'm still waiting for this person from Discord to show up, but I guess they're not going to. Let me just double check. Yeah, unfortunately. Unfortunately, they're not coming. So we'll just bring up another guest. Let us bring up Boudry. What day is it? It's Monday, unfortunately. Boudry, how's it going? Bud, your mic is very quiet. By the way, my meeting was delayed by about an hour and 10 minutes, so we have another hour and 10 minutes. Bud, can you hear me? All right. I can't hear anything that he's saying. So let's bring up another guest. It is Tuesday for some people. That is very true. Also, I hear that Saint Nick is now being like a tourist. What is it, like a passport bro in Cambodia, which is gross. So Saint Nick, quit it. Interplanetary, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. What god do you believe in, and how are you going to convince me of it?
Okay. So first off, I don't really believe in any religion.
Okay, do you believe in a god? Because my question wasn't about religion.
Yes, exactly. So it's like, just to kind of get that out there, it's just that I don't believe in any specific religion. I do believe that, there is probably a god.
Okay. What god
Now,
do you think that there probably is?
but we don't know.
Well, wait, so why do you think that there's a god if you don't even know what you think there might be?
So when it comes to, there's a few things. So maybe we could take into consideration, such as dark matter, for instance. The amount.
Hold on.
I think
Hold
there's
on.
like a very
Hold on.
specific amount.
Hold on. So, my question was very specific. Like, you believe in a thing, but you don't know what you believe in, right?
Well, I believe that there could be like a conscious out there that we could, as perceive as God, like to have maybe this higher knowledge or access to the greater reality beyond death, beyond time, beyond space.
Okay, but why do you believe that?
So, scientifically speaking, when it comes to the amount of dark matter, it's a very specific number, is it not?
Yes. This better be related,
And
otherwise I'm going to be very sad.
so that is what kind of can lead us to this, I guess, to the thought experiment of the many worlds or universe theory, right?
Dark matter has nothing to do with that, no.
Well, I mean, it's like a footprint in the snow of evidence that there could be more universes out there because of the very specific amount of dark matter that is in. Well, why could it be any other?
It potentially could have been. It just isn't.
Right, but it's a very specific number.
So the amount of dark matter in the universe is not fine-tuned. That's what you're trying to get at, but that's a bad example. Dark matter is not a fine-tuned amount. Also, you're disconnecting or something.
Hello?
I can hear you now.
Yeah. So, no, I was just saying that, like, that kind of pauses there could be, because there's no way to really test, like, are there multiple universes in the world? Or, in the universe, in the multiple universe? Right, there's something we could never test or, like, positively know, but we could use inferences that there could be.
What does this have to do with God?
Well, if there are infinite universes, by just that standard alone, infinity meaning going on forever, there would have to be within that infinity a being that could be outside. Like, I mean, a being that exists that could be like a god.
There doesn't have to be that. I don't know why you would think that just because there's an infinite number of universes that there would have to be something like that.
Well, the arisal of something like that.
In any of these infinity universes, does 1 + 1 = 3?
Probably not the way we think about it.
No,
but
absolutely
again,
not. By definition, it's not the case. So why would you think that just because there's an infinity of universes that there must be some being that exists outside of these universes?
It's just a numbers game.
It's not a numbers game. You have to prove it's possible first.
Well, I mean, with infinite universes and infinite ways that matter could potentially interact with each other,
if you think that this is a physical thing, then it doesn't exist outside the universes. If you think it involves matter, then it's not a god. It's just a dude.
Sure. Could be.
But then you
just
don't.
A dude.
then you don't believe in God. You believe in a dude, in a guy made of matter.
If it's there, I mean, in a universe, but what if
It could also be
within
like a
all-
chick, by the way.
Sure, okay. I mean,
But
could be
regardless,
no gender at all.
still made of matter, not a god, right?
Sure,
I guess
but
that's
I
true.
mean,
We are all dudes
maybe it's
here.
on a level.
We're all bros.
Yeah, I mean, maybe on some level, though, you get to like a being, sure, maybe made of matter, maybe plays along with these, forces of nature that work so differently in these universes that it could, create something that we as human beings would consider God.
Okay, so the way I'm defining God is a being that exists outside of and independently from physical reality, and is the cause or creator of that physical reality, and it has a mind. Those are that's the definition we're working with here.
I'm just trying to highlight the different ways that we could potentially see something else beyond what we would consider, like, just to make it something that wouldn't make sense in our physical world that could potentially exist in a physical world. Your definition is very specific.
Do you believe in the thing that I gave you, the definition? I mean, the definition I gave is actually wildly minimal. Like, it is the minimal definition of God that, like, philosophers will generally agree upon. Like, you could add extra traits. You could add extra things, like, oh, it's all loving, or it's all powerful, or it's all knowing, or it's just, or, it's whatever. You could add extra traits, but that's like the minimal notion of God.
The way it could work in this physical, the way we could think about it rationally.
Well, then we're just not talking about the same thing, then.
That there could be this being of immense power and immeasurable strength that, some could relate to being a god.
But then we're just not talking about the same thing.
Right, but I mean, mathematically, it could exist. It's not like it's not true.
No. So the thing that I'm talking about, I don't think mathematically could exist, or rather, I don't have reason to think that it could. The thing that you're talking about is not the thing that I'm talking about.
Understandable. I know, because like you need like a foundation, and that's what religious people give you, right? They have a foundational, series of rules, and this is how it was. These are the truths that I know, and this is set in stone, and so you can combat against that. And yes, unfortunately, I'm just giving you.
Well, no, you're just not talking about like we're just talking about different things. We're just talking about different things, and so the thing that you're talking about, like, I wouldn't use the word God to describe that, because that's not how people use that word.
Okay, fair enough. I had another point, which was in mathematics. But
wait, are you still talking about the thing that you believe in and not the thing that I'm talking about?
I mean, just ideas that could point to something that could possibly live outside of our realities, our physical. Considering, like, in mathematics, there are these group of numbers in the monster group, that are symmetrical by all sides, by all means. I mean, it's all.
Oh, Nils, I hope you're not watching. Go ahead.
And so, yeah, I mean, you have these symmetrical objects that go off into, like, so many different dimensions.
Yeah, okay. It's a mathematical construct.
Sure, it's a mathematical construct.
What does this have to do with, like, a God existing?
It's true. God could exist in a multi-dimensional form, no? I mean, if you could control
So
all
the
of time,
mathematical
all of space,
existence of
all
these objects
creation.
doesn't mean the physical existence of these objects.
Of course. I mean, but what I'm just trying to do, as from maybe a spiritual point of view, try to highlight that there are things that have been discovered that are scientifically accurate, that could, point towards, something that maybe that is beyond our three-dimensional way of thinking.
That's
or maybe
irrelevant
even
for the
within
topic of
our-
conversation, because, again, that would be talking about a physical thing in a physical universe, maybe with 186,000 dimensions, but a physical universe nonetheless.
Well, I mean, so why wouldn't, can God be part of physical existence?
Not using the definition I gave you.
Okay, well, I guess.
And that's what
then,
most people mean when they say the word God.
Sure, yeah, okay, fine. Based on your definition of God, then I guess our conversation ends.
All right, well, thanks for being here, Interplanetary. Nick is a funny Nick is a character. Nick is a I do not suffer a fool gladly. Let's just put it that way. All right, let's bring on another guest. How about let's bring on Clean Your Room?
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. What God do you believe in, and how are you going to convince me of it?
Right, okay, so first, I don't really believe in God, right? This will make
Why'd you
sense.
come
Like, I
up
don't
then?
really believe in God in the fact that there's no evidence like there is with science.
Oh, hold
I think
on.
it's just-
Sorry. Somebody sent me $25, and I don't know who it is. It just says someone.
You're
So thank
lucky.
you for whoever that is.
I could
Anyway,
do
you
the
were saying.
25. Right, so yeah, I don't believe in a God because I don't think there's enough evidence, right, like there is with science. I think people just
Well,
believe
but-
in it because it.
Okay,
Yeah.
but then why'd you come up?
Because I do have a theory about a God. If you want to hear a theory about a God that makes everything make sense.
Well, if you don't believe in it, then I'm not interested.
Right, okay. I'll leave then.
Sorry, bud. Who said I live in filth? Who said I live in filth? That is disgusting. It's the most disgusting, the most filthy, the worst thing that you could have said. All right, let's talk to Julie. Sorry that my Trump's just not on today. I have to warm up. Julie, how's it going?
Hello, do you hear me?
I can. You said you wanted to come up, yeah?
Okay. I will do some questions, but it will
Before
be a
you do any
negative
questions, do you
and-
believe in God?
Yes.
And which one?
Of course.
Which one?
Yes.
Which one?
Christian God.
Okay, great.
But
Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't think that you need to prove a God like a religious God, like a Christian God. You can just say that God exists without joining in a argue about religion.
I mean, you don't have to, but if that's the one that you think is true, you should probably defend it.
Of course, but first you need to prove that God exists. If you don't do that, you can say that Christian God exists.
Well, yeah, but like, I don't think that the Christian God exists like extra. Even if God existed, it wouldn't be a Christian God.
Well, that's like another step, but first, just proving that God exists. I don't want to say too much because my English is not really good, but I think that I have some arguments like maybe Big Bang.
Okay, what about the Big
Created
Bang
by,
makes you...
Huh?
What about the Big Bang?
The Big Bang mentions, well, without mentioning his creator, a priest, that the universe must have a beginning. And it's like the most approved theory right now.
No, it doesn't
So-
imply that the universe had a beginning. You're mistaken.
Okay, so then what that Big Bang theory says?
It says that 13.8 billion years ago, the universe was very small.
Yeah, but where the universe come from?
The Big Bang doesn't say anything about that.
Well, it does.
Well,
was
it doesn't.
created for that. I mean, if you have that interpretation, okay, but the original creation of the Big Bang theory is for that.
Yeah, that was 100 years ago. That's not the current belief. That's not the current mainstream
It's
position on the
correct,
matter.
It's 100 years ago, but it's the most approved theory about.
No, the
beginning or
version from 100 years ago is wrong.
So there is a new one.
Yeah, it's called Lambda CDM.
I don't know about it. Can you tell me?
Yeah, I already did. It's that about 13.8 billion years ago, the universe was very, very small. And now it's bigger and it's been expanding ever since.
Okay, I'll search about it, but thank you so much.
Okay, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's bring up the next. So it's called lambda. It's a Greek letter lambda, and then CDM. It stands for, the lambda is the cosmological constant, and CDM is cold dark matter. All right, let's bring up Summer Cody. Summer Cody, how's it going? Summer Cody. All right. Looks like Summer Cody's not here. Let's bring on Groovy Grow. It's okay, Yuli. I understand that speaking in other languages is hard. Groovy, how's it going?
Hey man, long time no talk. I had a good conversation with you last time I was here.
Great.
I haven't been watching you for a while, but every now and then you come through. I've just been kind of busy. I
Understandable.
think, yeah. So I was listening for a while today, and remember I have a background in statistics, and
Sure.
I'm trying to find some way. I'm trying to find some way to hold on to some version of Christianity. You understand that in light of all available evidence, which is certainly pretty hard to do since the Bible can't be the word of God. It has so many contradictions to it. And it was written when there wasn't all this available evidence, of course, you know. So this is what I'm saying. Okay, so what God? Your question that you come at people with immediately is, do you believe in God, and if so, which one? Okay, so I'll answer that. Okay, sure, I believe in God. I hold as axiomatic there is something outside of creation that is maximally all loving, all knowing, and all powerful.
Does it have a mind?
There might be. Yeah, sure. I hold that as an axiom. I can't know. But but do you know that I even exist? I mean, you hold as an axiom that I do, right?
Well, I infer it from my other axioms, but yeah.
Yeah, sure, and I kind of do the same thing. Like the whole argument from first cause, the fact that a lot of people, you know, through millennia have looked at the puzzle and come to conclusions that God exists, but they also immediately upon arriving at the conclusion of God exists, they start accepting a whole bunch of other things like the resurrection, which is all, of course, all false. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah.
So Groovy. So like if you want to accept God as an axiom, then like there's nothing I can do to stop you. But that won't convince me.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you just say I accept this as an axiom, and that's why I think it's true, then your job is to convince me of an axiom that you don't have a justification for, right? So why would I accept the axiom if there's not a justification?
I do have justifications for it.
Then it's not an axiom.
You know, no, that's not true. I disagree with you the way you're looking at axioms here fundamentally. And this is something that I've been working on for a very long time. So I understand axioms very deeply. Okay, degree in mathematics,
axioms are given assumptions that you just don't attempt to justify, right? If you have a justification, then it's not an axiom; it's a theorem.
But models, all axioms ever do is they point to things that create useful models. So that's all axioms do. Sure. They either create useful models or they don't. And a model can be useful in one context but not useful in another. Do you follow me? So I'm saying that the justification for believing in a maximally all-loving, all-powerful, all-knowing God is a justification for it is that it creates a useful model in one's mind. I argue. Do you follow? And then it would be like,
well, yeah.
I'm not trying to be.
Is it useful in the sense that is it useful in the sense that it lets you like live a particular type of life that you want to live, or is it useful in the sense that it lets you understand reality better? Because those two are two different kinds of useful things. I honestly think it's the second one. Okay, so explain how it helps you understand reality better.
Well, okay, here's one that does. I would argue to you from just a sheer evolutionary basis, a group of people who have members of that group who are willing to sacrifice themselves, their lives or themselves for a greater good, for the good of others without expecting anything in return from themselves. That particular group is going to be more likely to be successful than groups that idea that permeates their system. So I'm just basically saying, take this group of Christians versus that group of Christians, or this group of people that believe in the flying spaghetti monster versus that group of people that do. The more the attitude of I only believe in things when I have evidence for it, and I am willing to sacrifice myself.
You're making an argument from
good.
practicality.
Yes.
You're making an argument from practicality. Okay. But that doesn't point to the truth of the claim, right? That doesn't point to the truth of the claim. It just points to it being perhaps practical to believe the claim, right?
Well, again, the point is, you know, all right, so we have two axioms that we're going up against here.
Does someone
You're
need you?
saying that me?
I heard excuse me.
I'm sorry, me.
Does someone need you?
Yeah, somebody's trying to get through. So I'm holding a door open. Somebody
Oh.
needed to get through, and I didn't notice them. I'm sorry.
Okay, you're good.
I didn't notice them. Somebody was trying to get through. Door. I'm at my high school. I'm in a class, but the school is over. You follow me? And I stepped outside
Okay.
so I could talk without, I'm in the
Sure.
back corridor. What was I getting at? Look, you're holding as an axiom that there's nothing outside of creation. Is that true? You're saying that you
I
don't
wouldn't
believe
call
in
it
God,
creation.
right?
No, that's so it's not. I don't
Okay.
take atheism as an axiom. No.
Okay. So you're really more than a Gnostic then.
No, I
Maybe-
take it as a theorem actually, a theorem that derives from my axioms, or rather, perhaps
so-
a conjecture that we have good abductive reasoning to believe. So
Could you expound
my-
on that? Well, how do you see the difference between atheism and Gnosticism and theism? How do you see the difference?
yeah, so I mean,
imagine
like
we could talk about that all
so
day. You know what
look,
I mean?
so when people hear agnostic, they think of somebody who's not sure, somebody who's not confident in their position. But when I say I'm not an agnostic, what I mean is that I'm fairly confident in my position, that there is likely not a God, and that I have good reason to believe that there isn't such a thing. Now, of course, I could be mistaken, but like I don't think I am. But so the point is that position that I take, I treat as a theorem that is derived from the axioms, where those axioms being something like my senses are fairly reliable, there exists an somewhat orderly outside world, and induction works. Those are the three axioms that I essentially take to be self-evidently true.
Okay, so let me. Here's one angle of approach. This might be a bad angle, but I want to do it. The reason why you are sure there is not an all-loving God is because of all the evil in the world, or all the pain and suffering. And
That would be
et cetera.
one
Is that true
example,
or
yeah.
not?
That would be one example.
Okay, so you see, now that one was always my biggest hang-up. For a very long time, I'm like sitting there, people are trying to tell me there's an all-loving God and we should be, positive about things. I'm like, that's like toxic positivity. Did you ever hear of Auschwitz, man? Did you ever hear of the Middle Passage? What the fuck kind of world is this? That would be a kind
I
of
agree.
argument that I would push back. I would push back with that one. Okay, so here's a point that I want to make to you. And this comes from an axiom, I think, that has a certain level of embraceability to it. Listen, God could, a maximally all-powerful God, and I say maximally, not an all-powerful God, because there's
I know you're being
contours.
specific with your
that,
language. I'm
okay,
aware.
very good. So a maximally all would make an emergent universe where he's never communicated to it. Maybe many, all possible emergent universes, a la Stephen Wolfram, a la the idea of
Then he just
letting,
doesn't seem like he's maximally loving.
Well, here's my point. The moment he reached in and changed the world and touched something, he creates two versions of reality. If he stopped an evil from occurring, then there's two versions of
You're
that
missing the
reality
point.
on that moment.
He could have
No,
set
I'm
the
not.
reality. He could have set the reality in motion such that evil never happened. He could have only created universes where there isn't that evil.
Or he could have created a universe where he doesn't know what's going to happen, and he has to let
then
it
he's
play
not
out to
maximally
find
knowing.
out.
Then he's not maximally knowing.
Yes, he is. Sure he is, because he's automatically also maximally all-powerful. So is he so all-powerful that he can make a universe where he doesn't know what's going to happen? The answer to that is surely yes.
Well, no, that
That's
seems
how you
contradictory. That seems like a contradiction,
That
actually.
isn't That's how you synthesize those contradictions.
Is there
We're well
anything?
aware
Sorry,
of
sorry. Is
self-referential
there
attack.
anything? Is there anything that this God you believe in doesn't know?
Sure. Yes. Absolutely.
Okay, then it's not maximally knowing.
Yes,
right?
It is. It knows everything that can be known. All
Okay,
that
so
be
so
known,
can
he
it
knows.
know what decision I will make when I'm trying to choose between one loaf of bread and another loaf of bread at the grocery store?
It very likely is the case. It very likely is the case. He has no idea which bread you're going to choose.
Okay, so
Does
then
not know.
I know something that he doesn't know.
Well, you don't know which bread you're going to choose until you actually
Sure, I
get
do.
there.
What if I
you
know
know.
which one I'm going to choose?
Then maybe he would know at that point too. But he doesn't know what's going to happen when, which loaf of bread you're going to choose 3 years from now or 7 years from now. I mean, there would obviously
Right, but
I dropped
hold
a
on,
pen.
but that's in principle knowable. So he just doesn't know all of the possible things that could be known.
Yes, that's right.
So then he's not
God
maximally
knows
knowledgeable.
everything. God is maximally knowable. He knows.
Well, no,
all
there's
that can
something
be
that
known.
there is. I just gave an example of something that he could know that he doesn't.
Okay. Once again, I can give a billion examples of things that he would like to know but doesn't know.
Yeah.
That's
So then
my
he's not
point.
maximally knowledgeable.
Sure he
There are
is, because
things
he
that-
knows everything.
To
I
be
don't know what the
maximally
contours
knowledgeable
are.
is to know all things that it is possible to know.
That's right. Exactly.
And it is possible to know what bread I will choose in 3. It is possible to know what bread I will choose in 3 years.
But maybe that's impossible.
Oh, okay. Now that's a claim that you'd have to demonstrate. Because I don't know why I don't know why I should believe that.
Let's go through the basics. Let's go through the basic arguments. Okay, once again, basic arguments. Can God create a rock he can't lift? How many times have we heard that?
I suspect not.
Okay. Yeah, well,
because that's a logical paradox, right?
Of course, it's self-referentially paradoxical. But that same exact paradox exists in all-knowingness and all-powerfulness.
Okay. Why can't he know something that I'll do in 3 years?
My question is he able to make a universe where he doesn't know what happens in it?
No, I think that's a paradox. Not paradox. I'm sorry. I think that's a contradiction. Because he could know what happens in it, right? Which means that he's not or maybe he doesn't exist. Maybe that's why that you have a paradox.
Or maybe you can make those axioms coherent.
Okay, then you have to prove that such a thing results in a contradiction.
Yeah, I can.
Prove it.
Maximally.
No, you have to derive the contradiction. You're a statistician, right? You know what it means to derive contradiction. So do it.
So there is no contradiction here. If he's maximally all-knowing, maximally all-powerful, there are some things he cannot do and some things he does not understand.
Yeah. So you have to show that there would be a contradiction if he were to know what I do in 3 years. What's the contradiction if he were to know what I do in 3 years?
The contradiction is then you don't have free will.
Oh, I don't think I have free will.
I hear you. I mean, that there it is. You don't know if you have free will, but again, free will. One first deep question I have about free will is: do you think free will will ever exist?
No.
Really?
I'm a determinist.
Maybe we're journeying towards free will. I'm just curious.
I'm a determinist, so I don't think so.
Why is well, I mean, some things are impossible to do backwards, like SHA-256 encryption, or, like I multiply 2 huge prime numbers together. After I multiply them together and hide those prime numbers, it's pretty hard to go backwards. So it's sort of like you going forward, you can see what happens in many things, but then once the thing happens, you can't play it backwards. So there's a lot of things that work like that. Well, I think that's very much related to what, if there was a God outside of this creation looking at the multiverse, right? Looking at all the possible emergent realities he can make. Now, there could be other realities he make where he fully knows what's happening inside of those realities. That's not the reality I postulate that we live in. I hold as an axiom, we live in a reality that he does not know the future of, and that he is watching it play out, and that he cannot touch it and cannot communicate with us.
That seems like he's just not all powerful then, or all knowing. Like he could intervene if he wanted to, if he were maximally powerful. Sorry, I meant maximally powerful.
But he could. But the moment that he intervenes in a reality, he takes 2 versions of it: the one where he intervened and one where he didn't intervene. And so my point is, I think we are living in one where he never intervenes. And so
wait a minute, that doesn't follow. I'm sorry, that doesn't follow.
Why not?
That doesn't follow, because now you're saying that God splits.
I'm not saying God splits. The reality would split the minute he touches it, because there would be 2 versions of reality. The one where he touches
why does
it,
it follow that the universe? Why does it follow that the universe is split?
It only follows because it makes the maxioms logically coherent. I can't prove any of this, and you know that. You can't prove axioms. But what I'm saying is,
so your axioms are getting more and more complicated. It just seems like you have to make your axioms more and more complicated in order to.
Did you ever look at the theorems of number theory?
Groovy. Yeah, sure. Groovy. It seems like you have to make your axioms more and more convoluted in order to believe them to be true and still have them be coherent. It seems like you're running up against Occam's razor.
I disagree with that strongly. I think that this set of axioms...
you just had to introduce like some ad hoc universe splitting mechanism whenever God tries to intervene. That's completely ad hoc.
But by your judgment, you're saying that that's too much. I'm saying that's pretty obvious.
No. I'm saying that's an example of an. What I'm saying is that's an example of an ad hoc axiom that you have to add to your theory.
That is a simple sophistication on a simple set of axioms.
It's one additional axiom, right? It's an additional axiom that in principle wouldn't have been necessary unless you wanted the thing to be coherent.
I think it necessarily flows from all knowingness.
Oh
maximally
no,
all-knowingness.
it doesn't. It necessarily flows
Yes, it
from
does.
it implies it flows from requiring coherency in your other three axioms. So you have to weaken
That's
one of
true.
your axioms in order
Absolutely.
to so you're just changing them until you get to coherency, and it's just getting more and more complicated.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I'm doing that. And boy, look at the game of mathematics. We do that a lot. I mean, absolutely. I'm looking at axioms at first glance. Okay, I exist. There's something that created me. Therefore, if I feel disgust, God gave me the feelings of disgust. And I could go on down all the logical, religious fallacies that we've believed for generations. But then you could take a step back and you could say, wait a second. Maybe there is an all-powerful, all-knowing, all-loving God, but let's create coherence in those axioms. The need to do that, another axiom, accepted that. I accept that point. Okay, so how do we make those coherent? He's all-loving, yet Auschwitz happened. Okay, so how's that even possible? Maybe the best solution to that is your choice, is that there is no God. But I am pointing out to you there is another coherent way to go with this, and it's not
I just
for
think
nothing.
but you saying that there is this equally coherent but less parsimonious explanation is not convincing to anybody except the person who believes it. Yeah, like theoretically simple, fewest assumptions.
I gotta disagree with you. You got to think about. I'm a 54-year-old man, right? So how many conversations about religion do you think I've had in my life? Oh, I think
I'm gonna
many
guess.
people.
I'm gonna guess it's fewer than me.
Probably, but and I've had them with some real heavy hitters. I mean, at least visually heavy hitters, like old Jesuit priests and things of that sort. My point would still nevertheless be a lot of guys, a lot of people believe a lot of the things that I'm saying. I'm getting this stuff from what I've inferred from what some people were saying, and trying to think about what they really believe in their minds, because they'll sit there and they'll tell you that Jesus is Lord and this is the only way to go to heaven, but they don't really believe it. You ask them, questions like, "Do you think
they
he was
definitely
resurrected?"
do?
Oh, there's a lot of priests that don't.
Oh, priests? Yeah,
God.
I mean, there's a lot of priests who are
there's a lot
atheists and are just still in the closet, right?
Because they got nothing else to do with their lives at this point. No question. That's why you'd make a good priest. But that's neither here nor there.
Never mind. I was going to say something horrible, but never mind. We're good.
I think you'd make a good priest. Because you know why? Because you wouldn't bullshit anybody. You get in front of the congregation and tell them what you really think.
I'd have to bullshit them.
I know.
Right?
Well, no, you wouldn't. Well, that's the thing. We need to change the church, but that's a whole different argument. People should be allowed to be free from being excommunicated or whatever if they're speaking the truth from their heart. Whatever conclusions you make, you should be allowed to speak them. That's obvious to me, obviously, or you're not even Christian. You're just a bullshit artist. So I've had so many arguments about this throughout the years, and I've gotten close to excommunication, but that's not neither here nor there. My point still is this. I think there is a coherent way you can deal with the problem of evil with the idea that God has never offered revelation to the world. He has never spoken to anyone.
Then why do you think it exists? Why do you think it exists?
Because he chose to let emergent worlds come into existence, and he's watching them flower.
No, but how do you get to why do you believe any God exists if there's no evidence within this universe that God exists?
Oh, I think we're getting evidence again from the computational processes that I first observed back in the 80s when I was looking at computer science. But of the computational processes that Steve Wolfram talks about, like in 2023.
I'm pretty sure Steve Wolfram's an atheist.
I don't know.
Pretty sure he is.
I don't know.
Let's find out.
Talks about it. I don't think he talks about it.
StephenWolfram.com. Let's find out. So somebody asks, have you ever suspected that God exists or that we live in a simulation? And he says, if by God you just mean something beyond science, well, there's always going to be something beyond science until we have a complete theory of the universe.
There you go.
Which sounds like a no. It sounds like he is an atheist.
Actually, that sounded like a yes to me, believe it or not.
Okay.
That actually sounded like a yes to me. I mean, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just telling you what I think. The reason I deeply suspect is we all know the old physicists and scientists, as they get older, get theological. That's obvious.
Stephen Hawking was an atheist to his deathbed. And Penrose is still an atheist. And he's 93.
Yeah, but you should look at the other list of other guys. What about Einstein?
Einstein was probably an atheist.
Einstein was definitely a theist to the end.
He was definitely not a theist. At best, he believed in Spinoza's deistic version of God, where God is just capital N nature. But that is not theism in any sense of the word.
I am very much right there with Spinoza, but you know, and
Spinoza disagrees with you. Spinoza didn't think there was an or maximally knowing, maximally powerful, maximally loving God. That was not Spinoza's position.
I didn't read his book. I have it sitting on my desk, and
I have not read his book either.
Okay. Well, I mean, we should be careful there. Or longer
and more involved than I'm interested in.
I love the idea. I love the idea that it says, ethics geometrically determined. So you set up an axiomatic system and build from there, right? So, but we all know, like Robert Nozick in Invariances, the structure of the objective world. He'll point out, basically the limitations of being able to find truth at all. And boy, what limitations he puts on it. But still, there's still a lot of value to philosophical argumentation. I guess I'll leave it there. Understand what I'm ultimately trying to say. I'm going to try to summarize what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that there is a coherent argument for the universe as I perceive it, and I think I perceive it much the same as you do. There is a coherent argument for the way I perceive the world, and it still is not inconsistent with the existence of something that is like God, sort of all-powerful, sort of all-knowing, sort of all-loving, and I'll leave this sort of and stand by it. Outside of creation, who's watching this universe flower, who never touches it, never communicates to anyone in it, and never changes it. He's letting it go and see what happens. If there was one argument to be made in justification of this, if there was more suffering in the world, maybe he would just turn time off and turn off this world. And maybe there's other emergent worlds that are a more pink unicorn and butterfly kind of worlds, where it's like, oh, look at that one, just let that one play out. It's great.
Right. You were leaving me with a last thought. This thought is more of a paragraph.
Yeah, you got it. That was my. I just landed it. I'll leave it right there.
Groovy.
Can you say it back to? Yeah, can you say it
back?
Yeah,
your idea is that you think that there is a coherent worldview that has some sort of maximally, or perhaps maximally powerful, maximally loving, maximally good, or a maximally knowledgeable God that perhaps would turn off time if there's too much evil in the world, and maybe there's other universes that have like pink unicorns and butterfly universes. And that
other
he just
universes that maybe have been, and maybe other emergent universes.
Yes, I could. So Groovy, I'm gonna let you go, but thanks for being here.
All right, peace, love, man.
All right, let's bring up a guest from YouTube. Let's bring up David Orbitz, because David Orbitz has been waiting the longest, I believe, for a whole 20 minutes. David, hold on, I need to refresh. One sec. David, can you hear me? Can you hear me, David? Can you hear me? You have some echo. One sec. Can you hear me? You cannot hear me. Interesting. One moment. Okay. We're just gonna get David set up really quick. And then we will get on. Guest link. Here we go. You good? I can hear you. Yeah, I know you guys can hear David and me, but David can't hear me. Testing. Oh no, David. I know you guys can't hear him on YouTube. Wait, you guys can't hear him on YouTube? Oh, well, that problem should be fixable. He's also not talking. I know you guys can't hear him on YouTube. Wait, you guys can't hear him on YouTube? Oh, well, that problem should be fixable. He's also not talking.
Yeah, I'm talking right now.
Oh, you can hear me? Oh, no, you're hearing me through YouTube. Okay, yeah, oh, boy.
I can only hear you.
YouTube. Yeah.
There's an extreme, lag. Yeah.
Let me try something.
Yeah, okay. Let me request on TikTok. I'll be David's Orbit as well.
All right, we'll bring him up from TikTok. That's fine. TikTok just is a better app. It's just better than Video Ninja. It's just better at guests. Come on, TikTok. Don't do this to me. All right, David's Orbit. Let's bring him up. All right, can you hear me all right?
Yes, I should be able to be connected well now.
Great. Okay, what you got for me?
Okay, so I believe in a axiomatic Trinity as a god.
Okay. Is this like a Christian version of the Trinity and like axiomatized
No.
or something like that, or what kind of Trinity
This
are we talking about
is
here?
this is a unique proposal, not based on a religious faith.
Okay. Does it conform to a standard definition of God in the sense of an immaterial mind that exists outside of physical reality, that is the cause or creator of that physical reality?
Yes, I would
Okay.
believe so.
Then fire away.
Cool. So I propose a framework in which the necessary being isn't like a deity, but an axiomatic structure instead of just one deity. And I base this off of mathematical formulations.
Okay.
Basically, I come up with 3 fundamental invariants that I posit are the principles of time, love, and cycles. And time and cycles are based off of physics, and love is the only metaphysical sense.
So, does this thing have a mind?
Yes.
Okay. What is its mind like?
Its mind is that of an observer.
Okay. And so, and this thing created physical reality?
I believe so, yes. I
Okay.
think that there is some circumstantial evidence that needs to be tested that may prove certain things like the Hubble tension.
Okay. Why should I believe that this is true?
I sent you a document if you'd like to view the math, but
I would not like to
also
view the math from a... I closed out of it because it's a PDF from someone I don't know.
Okay. So basically, I just created a framework that is involved with time and cycles, and I guess love would just be it's not emotional in the sense of what we typically see love as, but love that symbolizes the binding force that unifies disparate elements of reality.
Love is the binding force that unifies disparate elements of reality?
Yes. It's hard to...
I'm pretty sure it's gravity. I'm pretty sure gravity is that thing that binds, disparate elements like galaxies together.
I just imagine gravity as a consequence of matter.
Just a quick question, because somebody asked, how many dimensions do you think there are?
I believe there's 3 spatial and 1 temporal, with potential that there are deeper within the 3rd dimension.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why somebody wanted me to ask that, but sure, yeah. So, so you think that gravity is emergent from
the way that I understand
love?
gravity is that it's a consequence of matter interacting with space-time.
Well, yeah, that's what gravity is.
So how could gravity come before the matter enters the space?
Well, gravity is the description of matter in particular, like things with energy, things with pressure, things with momentum, things with stress, and so on, interacting with space-time. That's just how we define it. You could even define gravity more broadly as just the effect that space-time has on the things within it, and vice versa. But who's saying that gravity predates matter?
Nobody's saying that. It was more of a question. I actually talked with Dr. Quantum about this before, and he believed that non-intrinsic or laws are non-intrinsic across time and space, and I said that you disagreed with him on that point. Am I incorrect?
I don't know what you mean by intrinsic.
Are they fixed, or do they change throughout cosmic epochs, in your opinion? Your professional opinion?
It depends on what you mean. I mean, like, there are laws that didn't apply. Like, for example, Newton's Newton's second law of motion is just irrelevant,
Oh,
you know,
not in
13.8
concept.
billion years ago. But like,
Not in concept.
I don't know what you mean, I guess.
So like not how we define laws. I mean like physical laws themselves. Do you think they're intrinsically fixed across space-time?
I think that physical laws are things that we write down. I don't think that they are I don't think that they're a part of space-time.
Do you think that they emerge dynamically as a consequence of cosmic evolution?
I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't think that laws are physical things to begin with. I think that they're descriptions. But if you're asking about like the behaviors that are governed by the laws that we write down, those I don't know if those behaviors are emergent or not.
Okay, well then can I ask? Let me phrase it a different way. Do you believe in necessary mathematical principles?
Depends on what context we're talking about necessity. If you mean like logical necessity,
the ones that govern reality.
So like you mean physical necessity?
Yes.
I don't think that mathematical principles are physical objects. I don't think that they're like things that are under the purview of physical reality.
You don't think that they can govern the structure of reality?
I think that mathematics is something that we invented to describe things.
Okay, so you're not a conceptualist in any way. You're a straight materialist.
I would use the word physicalist, but sure.
Physicalist, okay. Yeah, that makes it extremely difficult to convince you of anything, Dr. Blitz.
Well, I'm happy to like engage with philosophical, discussions, and I think that they can even be useful.
Yeah, no, I definitely would love to hear your thoughts, but I think I don't think I'd be able to convince you if you're a physicalist.
Oh, well, but most atheists are going to be physicalists, right? Or materialists or something.
That's not necessarily true. There's plenty of conceptualist mathematicians and physicists that are atheists.
Yes, but those aren't most atheists.
I'm talking about mathematicians.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure, and I don't have data on this, but I'm pretty sure that most mathematicians are actually mathematical Platonists.
Can you describe what that is?
Somebody who believes that numbers as abstract objects actually exist in some sort of abstract realm. That's accessible.
Oh, so you differ from most mathematicians that way?
Yeah, because I'm more of a physicist than a mathematician.
Got it. Okay, got it. Okay.
Number theorists especially tend to be mathematical Platonists. Dirty number theorists thinking that their prime numbers matter.
I was under the impression that you were more of a numbers guy than a physicist. I thought I thought you were more of a mathematician first.
Well, it depends on who you ask, but philosophically speaking, I'm more of a physicist than a mathematician.
Gotcha. Okay. I think there's not a lot of philosophical stuff in here other than the metaphysical binding agent, and so I don't think that we have much else to talk about.
All right. Well, thanks for being here, David. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Thanks. I'll come on Wednesday.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.
No, it's just like number theorists especially, like they just think that their numbers are like real. And I'm like, bruh, numbers are made up. They're all made up. They're made up so that we could do physics. Your numbers don't matter. Don't tell my advisor that. He'll be sad. I think I have 20 minutes left before my meeting, by the way. Let's talk to Jamil. The metaphysical binding agents. By the way, if you guys like what you're seeing, consider subscribing on YouTube, following on TikTok. Lots of cool things that you can do to support me if you want to support me. Jamil, how's it going?
What's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. What was that?
Oh, that's great, bro. I prayed that you would pick up my call.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 20.
What year were you born?
2005, man.
I don't believe you. Sorry, I don't believe you. All right, let's bring up one more guest. You're what, top 24? Oh, I'm 31, Theo. Like, I'm a full adult. I wish I wasn't. I wish I was still 24. That'd be awesome. But yeah, no, I'm a fully fledged adult. I have been a child for a long time. All right, let's bring up Emmy. Nope, not doing that. All right, let's talk to Scott. We only have one more guest. I will suffer no fools. I look young. Well, I appreciate that. It might just be the lighting. I definitely do have, and actually it might be also OBS, like, no, the filter shouldn't be on, but I definitely got like those crow's feet, like, you know, I'm gonna have forehead wrinkles because I move my eyebrows too much, you know. Don't worry, we'll get there. You'll see me age. If like I keep doing this, you will see me age in real time. You'll go back and watch my old videos and you'll be like, wow, he aged a lot. I'm reading comments from YouTube. Here's the thing. White people age a lot. My wife's still gonna look great for the next 30 years. She'll look like she's like, you know, 23 for the next 30 years or whatever. I will not. All right, let's talk to BH. Like, it's just the truth. BH, how's it going? BH, you there? All right, it looks like BH is not here either. Well, okay, I think that we don't have enough time for another guest, so we might just end the live. I'll just talk to chat for a little bit. Yeah, so PhD in what field? I have a PhD in physics, so you know that's where the PhD is. Yeah, early night. It's because I have a meeting. It would have been for another hour. But are you from Canada? I am not from Canada. No. No, I am not. Maybe it is indeed Maybelline. I don't get a lot of sun exposure, so maybe I will age gracefully. That's true. I stay inside a lot because I like the inside, and the outside is scary and hot. I do not have children. No, not yet. Oh, is that my cat? Ah, okay. You want to come say hi and show off Evelyn?
This is a baby.
Yeah. Okay. We do have a. This is the child. This is the child. Putting the D in PhD. She hates it. She's supposed to be. She's a ragdoll. She's supposed to love this, but you know, she hates it. Also, she doesn't like when you make her look at the light. I think it's too bright for her.
It's probably too bright.
Yeah. All right, y'all. I'm gonna end the live. She birthed that cat for how many hours?
Body.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna end the live because I do have my meeting shortly. But thanks all for being here, and remember, I will be live tomorrow around the same time for a peer review live session. And make sure to follow, subscribe, click that, smash that like button, click the bell, ring the up doot